a little thing when it starts, which is now.
Cool.
We're live in front of 0 people. It lives
0
forever on
people.
YouTube, though. Oh yeah, when it like if someone finds the link on Twitter, that's how they can see. But we haven't started publishing the recordings because sometimes at the start we were saying questionable stuff every now and then. So yeah. So yeah, it's live, but it's not. Can you see somewhere a number of participants?
Yeah, it's up in the top left.
Eyeball
Yeah,
in
it
the
says
top corner.
1. There's 1, and it's me. I like to open the stream in a different window. Okay, so now I can copy that, and I can share the tweet, and then go deal with the dogs, and you guys can do the podcast without me.
Deal with the swarm of people who come to join the
Yeah,
stream.
That's right.
I'll be back.
See you in a sec.
Yes, yeah. You're live. Do you
Bye.
whatever?
Oh, we're live. I am
Right.
in the background just updating the episode that's about to go live while we are recording because we're going to chuck this one up before that one. And so I don't want this one an episode to randomly go out and then we take it down so we can put up this emergency episode. Because, yeah, for anyone who's joining us now, we're doing an emergency pod with our very first guest to celebrate Next.js Conf, which is still happening right now. And, yeah, we wanted to go through an episode talking about some of the cool stuff that dropped
Say nice
today.
things about me.
And Simon is lovely.
He is. Very nice man.
He has nice hats and a
Nice
beautiful
hair.
background. Lovely hair, hidden by a hat most of the time.
Nice dogs.
Oh, he's got lovely dogs, yeah, if you can hear them in the background barking because the grocery delivery is here. But yeah, if anyone does join us live, let us know, did you watch Next.js Conf this morning? And whereabouts in the world are you joining us from? What crazy time is it right now? Because for us, it's about 10:25.
Yeah, I can see. We've
AM.
got 3 people live.
3 people. Welcome to the podcast.
Exciting.
We will actually be doing a podcast very soon. As much as I thought this was a good idea when Simon was saying maybe we shouldn't go live and then him leave straight away, I'm beginning to regret it. But he will be back shortly and we will start the recording. But there is a little comments panel on the right for anyone who is joining us live. Yeah, let us know where you're joining us from and how excited you are for Next.js Conf 2022. We've got
That's a
Thomas
stacked lineup
Whitaker.
of speakers.
Yeah, it is a very stacked lineup of speakers. It's very exciting. Does Thomas work at ThinkMill or does Thomas know?
Both Tom and Nath work at ThinkMill, yeah.
Excellent. Welcome
little
to the
support crew.
ThinkMill cast. Good stuff. So are you both in Australia, Thomas and Nathan? Is all of ThinkMill in Australia? Do you have people all over?
Yeah, we're starting to expand outside of Australia. I think we've definitely got one person in New Zealand right now. We've got someone working remote from Germany.
Awesome.
Another person, I'm not sure where they are right now. Mauro's was backpacking all over Europe for a little while. I'm not sure where he's settled down at the moment. But yeah.
Nice. Very exciting. And Nathan is joining us from Orange, New South Wales. Okay. I've been to Orange once when I was very small, and I do not remember it, but I have been there. And Jordan Overby is joining us, saying hello. Is this another person from
get it.
ThinkMill?
Sure is.
Well, we have about 150 regular listeners to the podcast. I wonder if all 150 of them work at ThinkMill.
No, I think we're about 50 people, so
Okay. Just 50 people listening to it 3 times over.
could be. That wouldn't surprise me.
Simon, welcome
Hey.
back.
I've put everything on the...
How was the Woolworths delivery?
Very good. It's such the most Australian thing. It's like a Brazilian guy and he saw the surfboard and he's like, dude, did you see the surf today? I went this morning. That was amazing. You start talking about surf with the food grocery delivery guy, which is pretty cool. And the answer is I have not been surfing in a while. Well, I have, but it's been pretty bad. But yeah, apparently it's really good. So I'm gonna leave again.
I'm going for a surf.
Yeah. Well, I might be a lunch.
All
like
right.
I should do more lunch break surfing. I feel guilty, but it's kind of like going to the gym. Like you go for an hour, do exercise. Takes a bit longer. That's it. What have I missed? Are we live? Oh, yeah, we are live.
Yeah,
We are live.
we're live with half of Think Mill.
Oh, half of Think Mill is in the house.
Oh, there's Jed.
So if
Excellent.
I need to put the comments because then we can bring comments and stuff. That's something I always want to be. And if you guys can see the comments, so if you see something interesting, just tell me to put it up.
Oh, we've been going through them. We've been going through all the comments from all the people at ThinkMill. Hey, Jed, welcome. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Nav Bar.
So what are we doing?
Should we do our synchronized sip of water?
Yes.
And get into it?
That's it's literally why I was confused. I was like, have we done this, or like it's the thing that puts us in the rhythm in the motion of things. Okay, I need my notion. I'm not prepared.
Should we get our drinks?
I will not. Sorry, I will not order
Simon's not
food
ready.
on Wednesday, 10 o'clock again. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right, time for a sip. Let's do this. Synchronized sip of water. Look at that 3D.
We're not formation with
Aspect
like
there.
everything pointing to our special guest.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, it was like directing the attention into the center. I like
Yeah,
it.
that's the whole photography, like lines, attention lines.
Yeah. All right. Should we jump into the episode?
Now you know why a
Let's-
20-minute episode takes an hour recording. Kinda. We're getting
Half
better.
an hour in, we haven't done anything yet.
Yeah, that's the
No,
Apart from a sip of water.
So far, we're making really good time.
No, it's
So far,
actually-
we've been able to like curb Simon's like hopes of turning this into a big Hollywood production. We've been able to like steer him back towards just writing some notes for the episode and getting ready. So yeah, we're making great time actually.
And we made you feel comfortable and at home, so you're like natural in the podcast. That's that's the whole secret behind this. All right,
Cool.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right,
Now
I'm ready.
you're gonna witness John become very professional and do a deep breath. And
Is he going to wrap the intro for us?
Oh, maybe I should. No, it's not that beat, Simon. That's
And you
a
got
different beat.
to add a freestyle verse about me.
Or maybe
a-
that's what we should do when we have a guest on. Is the
that
guest
would be sick.
should
oh,
wrap
the
the
you
intro
that's a terrible idea.
drop a freestyle.
You just Uno reverse card play. Yeah, great.
Yeah, we will not have any more guests after that.
Yeah,
All right.
that's one way to trim that. Like, I'm not going there. I've lost the comments again. All right, John, whenever you're ready,
All right,
we are all ready. Are we?
I am ready. All right,
See the professionalism sinking in.
deep breath.
The meditation
Get ready to
beforehand.
Welcome to the Nav Bar, a podcast where we help you navigate the web and raise the bar of your content creation. My name is John Myers. I'm a developer advocate from Superbase.
And I'm Simon Vrashliotis, a designer, developer, content creator from ThinkMill in Sydney, Australia. And today we have our very first special guest, Mr. Luke Bennett.
Woo!
Say hi, Luke.
Hey, everybody. Nice to be here.
Welcome to the podcast.
So Luke
I know
joins
this
us.
is putting you on the spot. I was going to say, do you want to introduce yourself? But it sounds like Simon wants to introduce you.
Oh, I'll just mention Luke lives also in Australia. He also works at ThinkMill. He lives in Port Macquarie, which is a little bit up the coast, which has warmer weather than Sydney and Melbourne combined. Today we wanted to talk about Next.js Conf, which is happening, I think, still now. And this morning I woke up and went into our ThinkMill Slack, and I saw Luke doing like a detailed summary of everything that happens at Next Conf, and I thought, hey, how do you feel about joining us on the podcast? And we can chat about this since you seem plugged in. So before we do that, do you want to just give a quick intro of who you are, what you do, and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. So as you said, my name's Luke. Work at ThinkMill. I've live in Port Macquarie in a beautiful, coastal town. I've got a nice big family. Sort of self-taught developer. I kind of came to this kind of late in life. I was sort of just built the website for the place I used to work at, and sort of ended up sort of getting really into it. Fell in love with like Tailwind and all those things. So in a way, it's kind of Simon's fault that I'm at ThinkMill because yeah, that was
Simon has managed
an
to
early
get
influence.
Simon has managed to get plugs for Tailwind into every single episode. So I feel like maybe you guys just had a chat beforehand.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I didn't even have to prompt anything. It's already happened in the first
Yeah.
minute. Every single episode, I kind of say, "Oh, this is kind of like Tailwind." I just find a way to shoehorn it, and it happened already. There you go. Great.
So
yeah,
today we are going to be talking all about Next.js Conf, which is, as Simon said, still happening right now, which is very exciting. And there's been some huge drops, from this morning or from last night for some people. Here in Australia, it was last night. It was about 4:00 in the morning. So we're just coming up to speed now that we've all woken up and had our breakfast. But it sounds like the big news is Next.js version 13, which is awesome. So what's the big standout feature, or what are some of the big standout features of Next.js 13?
Yeah, for me, I guess the killer feature is the new layouts. So they opened up an RFC a few months back. Basically, they're copying Remix in terms of the way they're doing layouts. Not quite. It's different. But it solves a lot of problems that I personally had, where you might want to have like a layout that wraps your whole application, but you've got maybe different layouts for things where maybe you've got like an online store, for instance, maybe where you've got a list of products where it's dynamic data. So you don't want that to be like static every single time. You might need to fetch that from the client. And so there's not really a good way to do that sort of thing in Next.js right now, and have like a very optimized way to do it. So the layouts really helps with that, so you can have layouts nested at sort of every level of the application. And it also helps with things like co-locating files. So previously you had a pages directory, and if you wanted to have like a test for that page, or the components that are required for that page, or even the styles, you had to stick them in a different file and import them, and it was a bit awkward. So now you've got an app directory instead of the pages directory, and then a file called layout inside of that. And the default export is your page, is your layout that wraps your page. Takes children, and so whatever the children are is going to be the content of that page.
Oh, that's cool. So it's like, so it sticks to the same naming convention. So if you have like a file called like about.tsx or something in your pages directory, if you then had an about.tsx in your app directory, does that automatically wrap that page in that layout?
So you've got the folder, so you might have like an about folder, and then you can have the page.tsx and a layout.tsx. So the layout will wrap the page, and the default export will be what would have been the about.tsx file in your old application.
That's awesome.
And it's fully compatible with the old way of doing things as well, so you can have both folders. So I haven't played with that just yet. I'm not sure how janky it is, but apparently you can sort of do both. But yeah, it looks like a really great way of doing things. I'm pretty excited to start trying to build things with it.
A nice place to just chuck all that other stuff, because I've always been confused as to whether, if you do have styles or whatever, like a module.css file or something like that, like do you keep that next to the file in the pages directory, or do you have a different directory structure for that? And as you mentioned, tests and all of these other things that are related to your page, but not just the component that is rendered out for your page. It sounds like this app directory is a place to put all of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Definitely
Sounds
a much
great.
better DX.
Yeah. I had a giggle because I had a quick look this morning, and the first thing I thought is, this reminds me of what you can do in Remix with this like nested layouts, and have a part of the UI which has a parent layout, and then the main part is like a nested layout, and it's great. I like how everyone said it, like the lifting tide lifts all boats, and it's really what's happening. Like Remix raised up the bar to take the name of our podcast, and then Next is like, we kind of have to. This solves great problems, and we actually have a problem with that, and let's implement a version of this, and
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
like
nice to see.
It's not copying if it's in the open source community, right? Because it's already publicly available. You're showing off what the framework is doing. You're just as long as you attribute it nicely, it's not copying. It's fine. It's just taking inspiration.
Inspiration. That's it.
Definitely, it's a great time for front end frameworks. The stuff that's happening in SvelteKit and Astro and Next and Remix, like they're all just getting. We're benefiting as developers. We're just getting so much better products. At the end of the day, it makes things more competitive, and eventually we're going to end up with most of the features that we want. It's great.
Yeah,
great,
totally. So one of the other things that it sounds like launched is a lot more stuff around server components. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I haven't dug too much into server components just yet. It's kind of, I'm a little bit hesitant to spend too much time on it. There was the whole suspense RFC from React, famously was just an RFC for 2 years, didn't go anywhere, nothing ever happened with it. It's kind of related to that. So I haven't dug too deeply into it and tried to build too much with it just yet. But it sounds promising. So one of the cool things about this is it should really help with getting your client bundle down a lot. So one of the limitations of server components is you can't use hooks, but you do still get the React runtime. So if you've got a heavy library that you need, so maybe a date library or something to do some manipulation of, dates, or anything like that, that's, is quite big, and you would rather not ship that to your client. You can hopefully do that inside of server components now, and you're not going to have to pay the penalty of shipping a bunch of JavaScript to consumers.
Yeah,
cool.
Nice.
So the idea is it will try to render as much as possible on the server and just turn it into the HTML, and then other than the hooks part that it can't run on the server, it will do all of that bit and then just send HTML down the wire from the server to the client, and then rehydrate and do any other React-y stuff. Oh yeah, and then all of the React library itself can kind of doesn't need to come down on each page, right? That part can be separated out and just cached and stay cached for the whole time the user is on the website, but then each page that you navigate to, you're just getting the HTML for that page. Something like that. Starting to ring a bell.
Exactly.
Nice. Once again, it kind of rings parallel with the Remix and the loader, where you can do stuff. You can, on the server side, fetch some data and then transform it, and only make sure you prepare just what you need. So you don't worry as much about overfetching. You can just grab a whole lot of things and then massage the data to prepare just what you need and do some date manipulation or whatever you want. And then you return that data once you prepared it, and then the client literally just gets that. Except I think server components is a React core thing where Remix has their own implementation to make this happen. From what I understand, I haven't dug too much into that.
Exactly, and I guess with Remix, there's a bit of a limitation in that those loaders are at a route level, whereas server components, I'm pretty sure you can sort of stick them wherever you want inside of components or whatnot.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Sweet.
So yeah, you could just have one part of your nav bar that is rendered on that's rendered on the server and benefit from all of those things. But yeah, not need it to be that whole route level component. Yeah, that is super cool. Nice.
Exactly. I mean, you probably should still try to do as much as you can at a route level on the server, so that you can sort of ship as much HTML as possible, rather than because this is still an async operation. So you might end up in spinner hell, even if you're shipping less JavaScript. That still needs to load. Needs to have it's an asynchronous operation, so it's a little bit slower in some ways.
Cool. So what other cool data fetching stuff launched with Next.js version 13?
Yeah, so this is interesting. So there was an RFC for React about 2 weeks ago, I think, for a new thing for using a new hook called use. It's a little bit different other hooks in that you can sort of call it conditionally, and it's basically a way of dealing with async data inside of React components. So you can't have a React component itself be an async function, and so trying to get asynchronous data inside of React is kind of a bit awkward. So typically, anything you would have done inside of get server-side props or get static props, you can sort of move that now into the component and just wrap it with this use hook. So that's kind of interesting.
So is this kind
And
of like, could you conceptually think of this as like a use effect, but it's running on the server? Is that right? So like, as in you call this use thing and you give it a function that it's going to call. Does that function execute on the server, or does the function, is it happening client side?
I'm not 100% sure just yet. I think it actually does happen client side.
Okay. So kind of
yeah.
a replacement for use effect without all of the foot guns and confusing stuff
Exactly.
of use effects.
Exactly. Yes. That's
Yeah.
my interpretation. Yeah.
Nice.
Although I think they've also hooked into fetch. I was looking through the docs and they mentioned, how the second parameter for fetch, the first one is the URL you want to fetch from. The second one's the config. So you can send like your cache control like you normally would have done. And you can sort of use that to sort of replace get static props and get server-side props by just controlling your cache yourself. But also you can now send a next key inside of that object, and then you can pass it like a revalidate key like you would have done in get static props, so that you can tell Next when it wants to revalidate that query. So that's kind of interesting as well. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but it looks pretty interested to dig into and trying to build something with that and see how that works under the hood.
Nice. Something that I've noticed just like skimming through the tweets of updates of NextConf as it happens is it sounds like they've prepared a new font package, Next/font, that kind of lets you do fonts without any layout shift and like just all the hard stuff about swapping fonts and loading fonts. It seems like they've wrapped this like they do the next image. Now there's something similar for fonts happening.
Yeah, that's right. So I think they basically ship a package for like all of the Google fonts right now. So you can sort of pull down, whatever you want. It's probably going to be Inter. It's always Inter. And then call that basically as a function, and that'll return you like basically a class name. And I guess as a side effect, it sort of handles setting up all the files inside of Next.js the way it expects them to be in a very performant manner. But then there's also like a local font, so that you can kind of do the same thing, and then you just basically tell it where those font files live, and it'll just set up all the styles for you.
Nice. So you would have like a font folder with your custom font, and then just use that package and just specify the path to this directory, and then hopefully it does all the at font face declaration and all the stuff in the best possible way with like font swap, and sounds great.
Exactly. Yeah, and for the Google fonts as well, it'll download and self-host them for you as well, so there's no network requests.
Right.
It'll be a bit faster. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you give it like
Yeah.
a Google font URL, and it at build time will go and like fetch that from Google Fonts and cache it, or not cache it, but host it from your Vercel instance.
I remember really. Sorry, I just remember
the
really
Google
early...
fonts.
John,
You
we
go,
cut
son.
that
It's
little
fine.
I remember seeing a tweet from, I think that was from, I forgot who it was from, but there was like literally import inter from Next font. It was like literally, you don't pass a URL, you import the name of the font, like there's name export, like,
Exactly.
like if it was like a icon, like a magnifier icon or bank icon, you just import inter or like pop-ins from Next font, and then it does all the stuff for you. That was an early prototype. I think it's Lee Robb that was doing like a prototype and asking, hey, what do you think about this syntax? And is that kind of the shape that it has now that it's been released?
Yeah, that's it. So basically all of Google fonts are as part of that package. And so it knows what they all are, so you don't even need to give it the URL. It'll just do it for you.
Awesome.
Nice.
Very nice. Yeah, it sounds like they're making all of those, like giving you ways to do all of those loading things in much more efficient, much more performant ways. The other one that was super interesting is streaming. Can you tell us anything about streaming in Next.js version 13?
Yeah, that's all very new. It seems to be the new hotness right now. All the frameworks are talking about streaming HTML these days, which, as far as I know, is actually kind of an old thing. So what's old is new again. Remix has definitely been talking about that for a while. It's got support for it now. I'm not 100% sure how it works just yet. There's a whole section on their docs page which I haven't gotten to just yet. So I guess I'll post something on Twitter later once I have a better understanding. And
Sounds good.
But yeah, I think from my understanding, all of this other stuff that they're introducing kind of enables that. So having nested layouts and having React server components and all of these bits of your application that are all loaded at different times. Some of them may require data and some of them may not require data. And so I think streaming is a way that you can kind of performantly load up some of the ones that don't need to actually fetch data. And so something like a loading spinner, anyone who's listening from the remix crowd will be very unhappy about this. But yeah, like show a loading spinner immediately and then go and get the results. And as you've got the results and you're building up that HTML, you can actually stream the HTML to the client so that it can like progressively start to display the page, which is very cool.
Yeah.
It also sounds like building your Next.js app is going to be much, much faster now. Why is that?
Yeah, I guess like the overarching theme for this whole announcement is just performance. Like basically everything they've done is just improving. Apart from the layouts, is just which was kind of a DX thing. Everything else improves performance, and the big performance win is TurboPack, which is the successor for Webpack. It's created by Tobias Koppler, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, who created Webpack.
Yeah.
And I think it's in collaboration with Jared Palmer, who's doing Turbo Repo, also for Vercel, a bunch of other things. So yeah, it's the Webpack successor. It's written in Rust. They're claiming that it's 700 times faster than Webpack for updates.
Wow.
And 4 times faster for cold starts. So yeah, it's some insane numbers. They're even claiming it's 10 times faster than Vite for updates as well. So
Yeah.
Wow. That's a
I've
big
seen that
claim.
Very
slide and
impressive
it
numbers.
It looks like an Apple M1 Max versus M1 normal.
Yeah.
Like, you get these colorful gradient sliders, 700 times faster. Yeah, that's a pretty bold claim, but I guess like it's they've done some tests, and Rust is pretty fast, and that's pretty exciting for sure.
Yeah, obviously it's very early days, and Webpack is you need a plug in for everything. Next.js under the hood has its own Webpack config and sort of sets all that stuff up for you. So they do have already out of the box support for server components, TypeScript, JSX, CSS, a lot of that sort of stuff. They don't have support for, I don't believe, post-CSS yet, so you can't use Tailwind with it just yet, which is an outrage.
The first thing I saw this morning about this Turbo Pack is Joel Hooks from Egghead tweeting, Tailwind does not work just yet. And I was like, what? But yeah, it makes sense. So I guess the post-CSS support is not there. That's the only thing that would prevent... You can still use Tailwind with the CLI, I guess. I'm not going to make this about Tailwind. I will shut up now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you do what you do in Remix if you want to set up Tailwind. You will just have 2 different processes running at the same time, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, was there anything else that dropped that you were very excited about? Any other small things that you think are cool?
One interesting thing, I guess, is they've acquired a company called SplitBee, which does analytics. They look like an interesting company. I know some of the people at ThinkMill sort of know those folks personally. So I've sort of been following that for a little while. So it's cool to see they've ended up, at Vercel. I think it's a good marriage, I guess. I think it's going to get rolled into the Vercel's the analytics that are on Vercel.com if you host your apps there. So that should make things better for everyone, really. The less Google Analytics, the better,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool. Anything that Vercel can do to optimize all of those other things that just end up bloating things out. So things like fonts and things like analytics. I am all for them taking on doing it the most performant way and just giving me some kind of primitive to say, here's how you call the thing to do it properly. I like that.
Yeah. Apart from that, not a great deal. I guess the image and link components inside of Next.js had a bit of a refresh. The image, there was a future, I think it was called Next Future Image, which is now stable, and the old version was deprecated. And the links component, you don't have to do a weird thing where you wrap the link with an anchor tag, and then the href is on the link, but the anchor doesn't have an anchor tag. It was kind of weird.
And you need to disable ESLint rules because it gets angry at you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's been something that's frustrated me. Just like moving between frameworks as well. Like when, if you're using Remix and you don't need to do that, or you're using, I think React Rowdy don't need to do that either. But yeah, it's always anytime I'm doing the link and then it just doesn't work. And I'm like, that's right. I need to put an anchor tag in the link. I think that's a very, very nice quality of life DX improvement.
Yeah. So if I was
Definitely.
using I don't know if you can hear us because you're coming in at 24 pixels right now on the stream. If I was using in the projects I'm building with Next.js recently, I'm using the next image, like the future. I think it's called experimental, and I've turned the experimental flag on for that because it's much simpler to
Yeah.
style. The previous one was doing some stuff with absolute positioning, and it was a bit harder to style. So this is kind of like this thing making it into stable, and you can kind of remove the experimental flag. I imagine that's what's happening.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah, so it's much I think it doesn't ship the wrapper div anymore or any of that weird stuff that was just always a nightmare to try to override the styles for.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's handling that stuff under the hood for you, all the optimizations. So as long as you give it a width and a height attribute, it'll give you a nice looking image at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's very exciting. Anything to do with image optimization. That was one of the big things you'll hear in a future episode when we talk about what is Next.js, which is coming up soon on the navbar.
And it's all deprecated already.
Yeah. No, I think it's all. I think this is all just like adding and like improving performance of. I don't think there's I don't think there's
You
any
should
big
rename
breaking
the episode.
changes.
What was Next.js 12? So yeah, for context,
Yeah.
we recorded.
You might have to
Next.js
release both
episode.
episodes at the same time.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, we recorded a double episode on Next.js maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, but because of the published queue we have, it's gonna release, I guess, after this episode. So we might have a little little fine print saying disclaimer: some things may have changed. But yeah, it's still a very relevant episode.
Nothing in what we were talking about changed, I don't think. So stay tuned for that super up-to-date episode of the Navbar, learning all about Next.js. If you want to go deeper, and it is 100% compatible with Next.js version 13.
Yeah.
Along with that image stuff, I saw they also released a new OG library, which is all about doing OG image stuff, and it looks like it's like the idea is that you can do OG image generation at the edge, and so you can just minimize the amount of time it takes to get someone those social images, which will definitely help with all kinds of social linking. I'm gonna say SEO stuff, all those good things that Google likes. They'll be faster.
Yeah.
If you want people to click on your tweet, then you want to use the OG image pack.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what
Exactly.
was
If you want
used
those
to power
engagements.
this demo where you could build an OG like a social image on the fly with React or with code, and they even had a Tailwind one with a TW implementation. I think, and they call it like this real time or dynamic at the speed of real time, where you would literally type a character and it would update and generate the image or the SVG with that, like it felt completely real time, like not even a little latency. That was just mind-bendingly fast.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, I think that's
it's the same
everything that we
thing.
wanted to go through with Next.js Conf 2022 and the new release of Next.js version 13. And so we might skip the what we're working on section since don't want to put our guest on the spot with that. But maybe we'll jump
Secret
to
kind
open
works.
bar.
Oh, we have an open bar.
Do you want to open the bar, Simon? Lovely. This is the section where we get even more casual than the already casual episode and talk about cool things that we've been doing lately, cool things outside of work. Simon, did you have anything to go through?
Simple things in life. It's been raining and raining and raining for now like 9 months in Australia, like most of the time, and it's usually a country that has a lot of sunshine. Last night it cleared up and I was able to, that's when I know I'm old. I got so excited that I could mow the lawn. And this morning we took with the family, we ate breakfast outside in the garden, and it was 22, 23 degrees, like beautiful weather. And the garden looked lush and green because of all the rain. And it's just simple pleasure. Like it felt like this. This is why I took my amazing life in Switzerland and moved to Australia, because I fell in love with this country, like the outdoors lifestyle. I feel like today I got to experience that feeling again, that for a while it's been just kind of miserable weather for our standards anyway, which are pretty picky. So yeah, shout out to spring finally. I don't want to say that because I'm going to jinx it and it's going to rain again, but today and possibly tomorrow, oh, no, tomorrow it's raining again. Today is nice. Shout out to today.
Yeah, we've had some crazy flooding and stuff in Melbourne. I think last week there was crazy flooding, and it didn't affect us too much up where we are. We're up in the mountains, and so all of our rain affected everyone else. But it didn't actually rain too much up here. But yesterday, I don't know if I just missed all of the people panicking about it, but there was just crazy rain for maybe 15 minutes or so. Apparently there was more than 100 mils of rain dropped. And all through everywhere was just flooded, and a lot of our driveway has slowly washed down the street. So we have a gravel driveway. Or we did have a gravel driveway. So yeah, crazy times in Melbourne at the moment. But yeah, something that, just before the rain or in between the rains, the thing that I wanted to shout out that I've been playing with is a hydraulic log splitter. And so this is a big
what is
petrol log splitter. So it's like a big axe arm with a very powerful motor behind it that comes down, and you basically put a piece of wood that something you would chop with an axe if you were, oh, hello puppy.
Sorry, I'm not trying to hijack the conversation. Someone was
We've
barking
got
at the
cute
door.
corgis saying hello.
I actually don't think that T-Rex, that's his name, has made it to the...
Oh, look at that tongue. All right.
There's the live
if
yawn.
you're not watching the video, you are missing out.
We had almost
but
slow
yeah.
motion looking... yeah, you carry on. Hydraulic thing.
I hired a hydraulic log splitter, which is an axe on the end of a big powerful motor. And so you put a log underneath it, and then you just push down, and it will just cut through anything. And it's just amazing how powerful it is. It's just these huge logs that I would have no chance of splitting with an axe. It just basically cuts through them like butter, which is amazing. So huge shout out to hydraulic log splitters. If anyone has, I'm sure it's not a very common problem, but if anyone has a whole bunch of pieces of wood they need to split. Also living, up in the mountains, things happen, trees fall down and you need to cut them up, and then you just have a whole bunch of logs that you need to turn into firewood if you want to stay warm in the winter. No, it's really not that remote. But yeah, hydraulic log splitters, amazing way to cut a whole bunch of wood.
An unexpected shout out.
Cool.
An unexpected shout out.
Yeah.
What about you, Luke? Anything happening in just your life in general that you that doesn't have to be work related or anything, just something fun, if anything fun happens.
Yeah, actually, I just recently got a home gym. So before becoming a developer, I was sort of on my feet all day long every day, looked like a stick. Couldn't put on weight if I tried. And then, the last couple of years, it's just starting to become a bit of a problem. So, my pants weren't starting to fit anymore. So I need to do something about that. So I went and got a home gym. So yeah, downstairs in my garage is a full squat rack, 200 kilos worth of weights, little leg press. Yeah, it's a pretty good little setup. And it's been fun. I've got a couple of teenage boys that are kind of interested to learn that, as well as my wife, who's, I don't think she's ever stepped foot in a gym in her life. So
Nice.
It's been good teaching them as well. It's been a nice sort of family bonding experience, as well as just a good way to stay healthy.
That's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's very cool. I think with, COVID times slowing everyone down a bit and stopping the regular exercise. And I guess everyone working from home and not being able to go to the gym, it's very nice. Being able to have some exercise equipment at home.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Totally.
I
I'm a very active person. I do lots of surfing and basketball, and I'm generally quite healthy. But I used to go to the gym, like literally lift weights and stuff before COVID. And then when things shut down, I kind of stopped. And I haven't joined the gym since. Like I would feel comfortable now again going into like an indoor space with other people because it took me a while, but I'm good now. But I think if I had a gym somewhere in the garden or in the garage or something, I would just every day, even just like a quick break, do a few squats to get the air pumping through the body, and it gets you back into a good mindset. So if there's good waves, I go surfing in the morning.
Definitely.
But yeah, like sometimes I just go, and I was saying that in the internal Slack, the last 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, my wife leaves early with the kids for school, and I start work. It's like 6:30 in the morning, and I just work until 5 p.m. and I'm like, oh, I didn't have lunch, didn't get up to go to the bath. Like it's really bad. And I have a stand-up desk, but I sit all day, so I need to start thinking of strategies to do some exercise. Maybe a home gym is the solution.
Yeah, that is a very good call.
Could be. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, my name is John Myers. You can find me at johnmyers_io on Twitter. Luke, who are you and where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm Luke Bennett. You can find me Luke_Bennett_ on Twitter. 2 N's and 2 T's in Bennett.
Nice.
2 N's, 2 T's, and 2 underscores. Got it. And I am Simon Swiss
That's me.
on Twitter. This is where I do most of my damage. Thank you so much. Appreciate, Luke, you joining. I put you on the spot on short notice saying, hey, how do you feel about doing your first podcast episode in 2 hours since you seem plugged in with Next.js Conf? That was really interesting learning about this from you. So yeah, thanks for the responding to the call. I hope you had fun. We haven't mentioned, but that was Luke's first podcast. I think you did amazing, and you're welcome to come back again if you want again. I want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the podcast, make sure you tell your friends. I still have no idea what is the proper way to leave a review or recommend it, but if you find that way, do this. And thank you so much for listening. We will speak to you again next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is where you don't leave, actually.
Thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
Oh, yeah, you're not meant to really leave. Now we just hang out with the people who have joined us live. We can hang out with Thomas and Jordan and Nathan. Yeah, awesome work, Luke. That was, fantastic. Nailed it.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm ready for you to
do
start
look
your
like
own
a potato,
podcast.
Yeah,
you're coming in very pixelated.
Hear it. And then there's that like slight delay, which makes we talk over each other. But yeah, that's fine. This is why we've got.
I can
John.
fix up that part in editing. anytime we talk over each other because they're all separate audio tracks, it's easy to clean that up a bit.
See, you've got all the support from Think Millers. Oh my God, we haven't mentioned that on the pod. We say good things about ThinkMill. Everyone knows ThinkMill is great. ThinkMill is a expert partner with Vercel for this agency partnership program. So when Vercel does good things, we really enjoy this because we collaborate with Vercel, and I know Jed and Guillermo are buddies, and there's a lot of connection between the two companies. So yeah, it's nice. It's nice to see Vercel doing such great things.
Yeah.
Something I'm
Jed's
interested
shouting
to
out
know.
that this is the podcast after party. Yeah, this is where
Yes.
this is where the party happens.
That's the key of conferences. We all know that. Something I'm interested to know is a lot of new frameworks like Astro and a bunch of others have bet on Vite because Vite was the new fast thing and uses ESBuild and all that stuff. And I wonder if these tools are going to start thinking should we move to TurboPack? I also know TurboPack is openly mentioning that it's not going to be an overnight switch from Webpack. So there's still a bunch of things like the plugin ecosystem to implement. But yeah, interesting space to follow for sure.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I guess it's similar to the SWC, right? Which was replacing Babel. It took quite a while for a lot of those things to sort of come over. So if you're using emotion for styling or things like that, it took a while to get proper support.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's it's getting hard to bet against Next.js. They're becoming just such a huge they just have all the people doing all of the amazing things. I don't know. I don't want to make it like framework versus framework, but yeah, I feel like when a new framework comes on the scene and is trying to get a lot of people excited about it, and then Next.js just kind of takes some things that they can that thing does well and problems that they solve and implement it into Next.js. Like, I just feel like they have the people behind them to, I think, move a lot quicker than a lot of other frameworks will be able to. And they're obviously super tight with like Google and super tight with the React core team and all of that stuff. I think it's a bit of an unstoppable force at this point.
Yeah, when you get the financial resources and the team to just throw stuff at, guys, look at this problem space. Can we do something incredible in the next 3 months? It's like good things happen.
Exactly, yeah. I saw the creator of Parcel was joking that it's probably time for him to retire now because Webpack, TurboPack just totally blows it out of the water.
Right.
In the same spirit, I'm just gonna I talk about everyone today. I think there's a little latency. I'm gonna drop a little image here that I saw that tweet. A shout out to like all the devs who just convinced their team you have to migrate to Vite because it's the future. And it's like it's a thing. Like a lot of people I know have like spent a few months like pivoting everything to Vite. And I don't think Vite's going anywhere. Like it's great, and there's a great community, and Evan Yu is like amazing. But yeah, it's one of these. Actually, can we do a A/B test with TurboPack? Just as you finished like spending months of work.
Yeah, well, SvelteKit was Vite, right? And I'm assuming, like Svelte being, well, I guess it's not owned by Vercel, but you know, our friend from Svelte working at Vercel, I assume that will probably move over to new Turbo build soon as well.
Yeah.
TurboPack, sorry.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that angle.
Well, I bet I'm not gonna say anything on live. Actually, I'm saying things live, but I think Will does a lot of things with Next.js and Vercel, so I can imagine in people's mind there's like some brewing, like, oh, do we look at this thing? We would definitely look at this thing, but I don't know what's the scope of like pivoting to this just yet. Or I think updating to Next.js 13 sounds like a thing for sure.
Yeah, well, it doesn't sound like there'd be much to, like, there's not, there were like a few small breaking changes, but I don't think it's not the kind of rewriting your whole app kind of breaking changes. I think it'd be pretty easy to migrate most applications.
Exactly, yeah. Next has always been really conservative about breaking changes, not making it like too hard to sort of update existing apps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah,
very, very
nice.
Cool.
Any
they jumped up to
comments
React
that we
18 as well.
Yeah, I read a tweet that I don't know who said it on stage, but someone said server like Next.js 13 is the real React 18 release, because that's the whole idea. Server components was like that thing. Well, I know they've worked really tightly with the core team, so that's for sure. Like myself personally, I've never really done anything with the suspense or server like I looked at it and I kept seeing like the API change or like RFC and stuff, and now it's here and it's out. I'm definitely gonna have a look. I'm interested in all that. A great question by Nathan.
Sounds like a safe time to dig in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a safe time to dig in. It's not on the bleeding edge anymore. It still cuts, but it doesn't like slice deep. Nathan was asking, I guess that's when it was right at the start when I was out doing the grocery shopping.
Nathan's ready for us to start the podcast. Yeah. Welcome to the Nav Bar, a podcast where we...
And I like the Tom, which is a recurring live attendee, explained very quickly the live stream is wild. He's been there. He's seen us trying to get started and do things. But yeah, we and 100% shout outs to John on this. I've always approached it like we need this polished production and stuff. Like coming from I've been brainwashed at Tailwind Labs to like everything has to be perfect. And he was like, dude, it needs to be fun and sustainable, and we want to do it every week. Otherwise, it's another job and a chore and stuff. And so John's always been like reminding me that we should just have fun, and it's fine to go live early and just show the hiccups. And if we mess up, we start again. And yeah, I think I've adhered to that now. I became good at it. But yeah, it's a nice way
Yeah.
to do it.
I just need to remind you every single episode. It's fine. At the start of every episode, I need to, reel it in and make sure we don't blow out the scope of the production of the episode. As Luke saw this week, he got to experience it live.
Dude, I was the whole episode. I was like,
Yeah.
I think I should just reframe John. It's just, I was like, maybe if I unzoom a little bit like this and then I move it. I was like, no, do not. It's fine. Do not touch. It's okay.
Oh, we've got the Superbase logo in there now. Nice. I was, I started off in the... If you zoom into the background, you could do the hat as well. Back right over this way. Oh, almost. It's not quite in frame.
Yeah, I can't.
The
It's
hat's
just
up
too
on the
low.
NPC. But yeah.
Uh-oh. This is where the Australian internet claims
So-
another casualty.
I had a jumper, a Next.js jumper, but it was way too hot to record the episode. So I took off the Next.js jumper immediately before we started recording. But I did take a couple of sips from this one.
It was absolutely noticed. Let me pull that up. It was absolutely noticed. What? I don't know. I've seen someone talked about brand placement. Yes, there you go. That was Tom again. So see, your efforts paid off.
Yeah, my sneaky little Next.js product placement. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
This
I
is why
think
they spent the big bucks to send it to Australia, so that I can show it off on the Navbar podcast.
is there a Think Me logo on mine? No.
Uh-huh.
React Conf. Everyone knows that React Conf AU was largely
You
powered by
can't see the
Think Me.
potato quality shirt anyway. There's no point me doing it.
No, actually, I was gonna say that Think Meal T-shirt that you're wearing is incredible because you can be like 200 meters away and you can still read it perfectly. And right now, your face is like 8 pixels, but the THI is like super sharp. I think because it follows exact pixels, like it's like high res. Everything else is like very low fi,
That's
but
awesome.
yeah, that's such a great
Yeah.
T-shirt.
I wonder what happened with your video quality, because it was like it started off really
don't
well.
know.
When we were doing the pre stuff. About like a third of the way in, it just like dropped to one pixel.
Is that a Port Macquarie
Yeah,
thing
it's
where
pretty
everyone
distracting.
streams Netflix at 10:30? Like I remember living in DY and at between 6 and 9 p.m. my internet would just completely like plummet and be useless because everyone's watching stuff, streaming video, and the whole network completely chokes. And that's why even in Australia you
Yeah.
have this like typical evening speeds on advertisement, like, hey, our internet is good even at evening speeds, which to me was a new concept. Like in Switzerland, you have internet, it just like blasts. No, there's no like peak traffic with traffic jams. It's internet. So the typical evening speeds was a discovery.
Yeah, Thomas is saying in the comments that shirt was built for Australian internet. 100%. And it doesn't really matter if it's like if you're pixelated. It doesn't affect the podcast because the YouTube live podcast recording is only an exclusive thing for ThinkMill employees anyway. And so they understand the Australian internet and they've seen the shirt before. And everyone else that listens to the podcast listens to the audio version and they won't even know. The audio
So that's one
quality
thing.
seems-
Your audio
seems
was
great.
fine the whole time. Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
Ecamm understands we're doing a podcast because Ecamm Live is like a live stream. Like its video is probably very important, but it sounds like it optimizes for audio because your audio like remains really good, and it's recording your local version on the app, and then I get that version. So I think it's maybe because there's that isolated audio tracks, it understands. Oh, they're doing something with the audio, so let's like polish that. Clever.
Very clever. Very clever.
Yes.
All right. I reckon we should end
Go
it
back to
there.
work.
Time for John to go and get a coffee. And thank you so much for joining us. And Luke, thank you again for hanging out. This was lovely. And I'm looking forward to your new weekly podcast that you start doing. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Do a podcast about what is outside in
It's
your
been an absolute
backyard.
pleasure.
Yeah, Luke's got wallabies and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
hanging out in the garden, and we have this Slack channel where he gives us an update of the wildlife spotting in the backyard. That'd be a cool podcast.
That would be a cool podcast. You could do a meta podcast about the navbar, and you could do a podcast discussing the most recent episode of the navbar and do like live commentary. It'll be like it's on theme with the whole Next.js being a meta framework on top of React. You could have a meta podcast that sits on top of the navbar.
Thanks, Jed. Jed, now that we have you, you are definitely coming on the podcast at some point soon. There is no escaping.
Absolutely. Definitely. We need to do a Keystone.js episode. It's in the backlog of ideas for the navbar. And so we would love to get you on. Well, I'd love to just get you on anyway. In fact, you should just come on and talk about open source because, your open source talk at closing React Conf Sydney was amazing and very inspiring. And I feel like you would be very interesting to talk to just about anything that's on your mind.
I'll put you in full pitch mode, go.
Okay. Jed, come on the podcast, please. That's my pitch.
I should have that
talk
thing
about anything you want.
When someone
I would
goes
be very
deep.
excited to learn about Keystone.
Yeah. So John was there and bent under the seat to find the thing that we stuck under every seat for like a couple of hours straight. That was such a good idea, though. I love that talk.
Yeah.
All right,
cool.
Mr. Luke, thank you so much. I'm gonna finish the stream here. Usually we do an awkward third goodbye because like the stream finishes, but then we're still here and we feel like we have to be polite. So we've started that thing where I tell John to, like, it fades to black, and I said, don't be still here when it fades back to color because otherwise we're gonna talk for another who knows. So
all right, so this is our Think Mill goodbye, our live stream Think Mill goodbye.
Thank
you for everyone joining us in the chat.
Bye, stream.
Bye, Think Mill stream.
All right, I'm gonna cut the live stream. Thank you so much. That was really fun. Bye.
Bye.